Hey everybody, I'm Christine Barr, and this is Today Over Tea, where we have real conversations about things that matter. I'm a dancer, businesswoman, traveler, and host. And today we're creating an open-minded space with hopes of spreading awareness and education through similar experiences. I'm going to introduce you to some of the most passionate and knowledgeable people in my life. 2020 is the time to own who you are, reach your highest potential, and just love your life. Because let's face it, we're all going through something, but it's time to evolve as a society. We need to spread more kindness and love for each other and this planet. So let's start the conversation. Let's talk first about just our generation in general.
Okay.
What it's like to be living as what they call a millennial. Mm-hmm. There's a next generation even after us now,
right,
that's living in the same world, growing up with all this technology, and what it's like to work hard now and what it means to do that.
Right. So we're in an era of instant gratification, where you don't necessarily see the struggle that's behind the scenes versus what you're seeing when you're looking at a 15-second clip or image that you're just scrolling up on. And I feel like a lot of people need that validation. They want it right now versus actually going through the process, because there is always a process that you have to go through to gain that prosperity that you're searching for.
No one's showing you that process anymore.
I
think that's the thing, is that like we're living in a generation now, especially with social media, where you just see the results.
Right.
And they don't show you the hard work behind the scenes of what it took to get to that result. And everyone thinks it's just immediate.
Instant.
Yeah.
And if they are showing you the little snippets, they're not showing you the true,
the hard, in the dugout
the
kind of thing.
lonely nights that you spend when you're basically quote unquote grinding to get to where you need to go. Right.
Because I feel like back in the day you just knew the struggle a lot more.
Right.
Like people talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're seeing we have 21-year-old millionaires, people in their 20s are becoming millionaires.
Right.
So what's cool is that, because I think growing up, especially for me, I was like, this is awesome. We live in the age of technology. We live in the age of, I don't have to work a corporate job.
Sure.
Being an entrepreneur is almost like normal now.
Right.
But it's overwhelming at the same time, because there's so much that is possible.
Right.
You have too many options now. And that is almost a struggle in itself.
It is a struggle within itself. Because you see so many options out there, I find that our generation and the next generation are not going to know what true passion is. They're not going to know, what their true calling is, because they have so many different examples to go after.
So I think the question is, can you have more than one passion?
Yes, of course you can.
Yeah.
You can definitely have
And I think in today's world, we're showing that maybe you're passionate about something maybe for 5 years.
Right.
And then you move on to something else.
Right. And my thing is, you can have more than one passion, but it can't be on two ends of the spectrum. So you can't want to be a singer and then...
And a doctor.
And then, I mean, you can, but it's kind of like, how do the two correlate?
Right.
And
planning your life.
Right.
Because I think that's also where I'm having issues, is planning my personal life with my professional life.
Right.
Because we still have the same amount of time as everyone else. Right. Everyone says that we have the same amount of hours as Beyonce does in her day.
Right. Beyonce,
right. She just has, a team. But, but the idea is that now we have so many things we want to get accomplished, and we have the same amount. I mean, we are living longer than the previous generations, which is great. But, 30, 35, time is ticking for women to have babies. Right? That's a whole thing. And then, when do you get married, and how do you navigate that in your career if you want to change careers multiple times?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the struggle that people are having, is now they feel like they're always starting over now, versus before you would have a job for 30, 40 years and it just wasn't the same.
Right.
You know?
And before, people that had held those jobs for 30, 40 years, that wasn't necessarily what they wanted to go down. That wasn't the path that they chose.
Right.
They held those jobs for the 401ks, the investments that they were making for
the benefits.
The retire at 60, 65, and you'll live a lavish life, which we all know has now gone. You know, we don't have that option now.
Exactly.
So, you know, they like to call us the entitled generation, but I think that we're more of the inspired generation, because we saw exactly what happened to, you know, the past eras and the past generations, and we're not going to take that. We're not going to lay down and just take, you know, what we're seeing going on in this day and age.
Well, right, because I mean, the benefits, what they call them, the benefits of being an entrepreneur or making your own schedule, working for yourself, not having the struggles. I mean, down to sitting in a desk chair all day long, if that's your job, and having back pain and doing all, you know, lots of little things that people don't even realize is happening in their day to day. And then 20 years later, they're still doing it, and they're like, why am I here?
True.
How did I get here? Right? But as millennials, we're like, we don't even let it get that far.
Very true.
Right? So we're already on the path to figuring that next step out. However, now, again, it's a lot harder because there is no written path. There's no like, go to school, get a degree, get your job.
Right.
It's like, what are you passionate about? What do you, like, there's a new formula. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that new formula is hard. Because you don't have structure.
It's just hard.
You don't have the structure to tell you, okay, after high school you go to college, and then you do your 4 years there, and maybe you need to go on to graduate school, or maybe you can just go straight into your career, but there was a pathway set up for you.
I don't know about you guys, but that's how Dom and I are. We're pathway people. Like, we follow, you give us a course, we're going to ace it, and we're going to ace it before everyone else did. But blazing our own path, we can do that. Right. I think the thing is that, again, we have a lot of things we're good at. We have a lot of things we like to do. We can adapt to anything, right? So I think that brings me to my next point, how many skills we have, not just us, millennials in general, and can you have too many skills? Can you promote too many skills to like a client? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I think you can promote too many skills, because how are you going to be taken seriously? You can't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. You know, going back to that cliche, it's very true. If you came and told me, well, I do this, and the other, and I'm just looking for a social media coordinator, and you have this list of things, I'm not going to take you as serious as someone that's focused, and I can go on their Instagram. They're building their business because that's their main focus.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, because I get to a certain point now where I tell people, I'm like, you know, they say, what do you do? And I say, what do you need?
Right.
And that's such, like, who even came up with that? Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it just came out of my mouth one day. And it's like, when you end up having so many skills, you get to a place where you're like, whatever you say you need from me, I'm going to find a way to make it happen.
Right.
Because I can learn it on YouTube now.
True.
Right?
Very true.
I can learn any skill now. And if I can't learn it, I know all my friends are in the same generation as me. So I know so many people that can do that skill. So at least I'll get them business. True. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a pay it forward kind of thing. And I think, because I'm seeing a lot of these things come out that say like, 30-year-olds need to watch this, or 20-year-olds need to watch this. Like, it's not too late. Like, look how many people made it after a certain point. Because I think when there was kind of that cookie cutter lifestyle back in the day with our grandparents, they were like, well, once you reach this age, you have this. Once you reach this age, you know, you're married and kids. Once you reach this age, and you should have your degree and blah, blah, blah. And now, because the game is completely changing and the rules are all different, someone can get their degree now at 50.
True.
Right, because they went back to school. Or they can have a kid now at 40.
Exactly.
Because they did their career first. Or they can be a millionaire at 25, which is unheard of back in the day. You know what I mean? So things are shifting around, and I think that's where I think some of the pressure of the millennials comes in. Right. Is, well, the comparison. That's the social media you were talking about. Right. It's comparing yourself to everybody else's journey, and our journey is our journey.
And it is kind of a journey, and it's unfortunate that we do live in that instant gratification age.
Literally, the Insta world.
The
Literally.
Insta world, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because it's such a beautiful journey, and you can, when you get there, when you get to the top, you'll appreciate the struggles, and you'll look back
and what you went through.
Right.
Not saying it has to be like, you know, Sandy on Instagram.
Exactly.
I have to have, you know, or whatever.
And you'll be able to part that wisdom to the next person that needs to come up. You know, you'll have those stories. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Something that hit me hard recently. Chelsea Handler did a documentary on Netflix called White Privilege, which is just ironic. You know what I mean? At the same time, which she was brought to her attention. But it goes hand in hand, obviously, with talking about race issues and racism and how that is still so relevant in today's world. So important for a black woman, a white woman, for us to be talking about things like this, because you and I have been best friends now for what?
What's going on, 4 years?
4 years. And we grew up in a generation where we don't really see color anymore. It's not a thing. We are both dating men from different countries, both interracial relationships. And that's not a problem for us. Does society still see it as a problem? Or as a thing? You know what I'm saying?
The hard truth.
Yeah, because that's what we're here for.
Right, we're here for the hard truth. I'm
real.
on the fence.
Yeah.
I think that society still questions and ponders about the relationship because they don't understand it.
Okay.
They might not understand, like, how can this white woman be with this black man? And they'll look at Noel and think he's African American.
Right, that's true. That's very true, because Noel is Haitian. And we both speak French. I'm French.
Right. They would.
So they don't even know that all of that, just by looking at us.
Exactly.
Right.
They would never take that into consideration. It always goes directly to the negative. And
that's interesting that you say that.
I think that society has a lot of evolving to do. Have we come far? Yes, from back in the Jim Crow era.
Jim Crow, yeah, because that was a big part. That's the part that shocked me the most, is when Chelsea was sitting down talking to the white Republican women, which is already such a heavy group of people when you talk about race. And they said they were almost so naive to what was still happening because they don't experience any of it. And they're like, but look how far we've come. We don't have slaves anymore. And it's like, okay, but first of all, how did that happen in the first place? Period. Second of all, how can you say I think the biggest thing is they're not dealing with that. They're not raising black men and black women. They probably don't have a lot of friends who are black, right? Which again, why?
Right.
How do they not cross paths with anyone like that? And also, they don't experience the world the same way. Like you said, people looking at them versus like the whole, I think the biggest situation right now is cops pulling over black men. Right. Let's talk about that and black women. Yes. Let's talk about that for a minute, because just the anxiety that I think, and like Gabrielle Union talks about raising, her kids with Dwayne Wade, and how she has to tell them how to speak to a cop. Right. Because if you speak incorrectly to a cop, he could shoot you. Right. And you're like, people even think about that? No, not at all.
Not at all. Yes, and you mentioned that it is something that has come to light now, but it's been something that's been going on for years.
That's a good point.
It's been something
it's just now surfacing the media.
Just now.
But it's been happening this whole time.
It's been happening this whole time. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you can get pulled over, and because of a preconceived notion about your people or your color, there's already guards up on how they should approach you. Again, like I stated, and I think this is a very important factor, they don't approach us as if this person may be educated,
or
this
they're,
person
or they're
comes
innocent
from,
in
or they're
anything.
innocent.
You're
or,
already being approached as you did something wrong.
Exactly. Instead of giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that ties into what you were saying about the women, that the Republicans on the Chelsea Handler. That's how they perceive you.
Because Chelsea said she dated a black guy when she was younger. She said, they got into some drugs and stuff, and she said, I thought that, he always went to jail. She said she never went to jail, and she thought she was always let off. She said, I thought it was just because I had a good personality. She said,
I didn't do anything
I
wrong.
didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
She was so naive now that she's looking at it and going, oh my God, I didn't even think that it had anything to do with my skin color. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just, it's crazy. I think you said it's unfortunate. The word for it. I don't think it's unfortunate. I think it's terrible. I don't think it should be happening.
No.
I think you saying it's unfortunate is you're being too nice.
You think I'm being too nice?
I do.
I
do, because I think that I can't believe that that's even allowed.
Oh,
like
right.
a cop is supposed to protect you, right? And you're now having to protect yourself.
I think
you're in the presence of them.
I think
that's such a backwards way of thinking it.
I think in this day and age,
yeah,
we're programmed to be so filtered that we can't express our true feelings, especially as a black woman.
Yeah.
Because I will come off as the angry black woman. And then
Gabrielle Union says that.
Exactly.
Yep.
People will start to kind of tune you out.
Right.
Instead of understanding that emotion that you're going through.
Yeah.
Understanding that gut-wrenching hurt that you have. Because
which could be the same as a white woman.
Exactly.
But why is yours different?
And why is mine's different? And those are things that you just don't question anymore because you'll drive yourself insane.
I see.
You can't control what
you're just tired.
You get tired of
it.
You get tired of being on that hamster wheel and trying to prove who you are to people who don't necessarily matter.
That's true.
They don't.
Why give people the time of day? I agree with that. I totally agree with that. How segueing into what it's like, because you've done some incredible things in your career that most people would say would be a lot harder for you because not only are you a woman, but you're a black woman. So how have you had to navigate? Do you feel differently? Because obviously you have no idea what it would have been like if you were white. Right. There's no way for you to know. But how do you feel that maybe you've had some challenges or some people look at you a different way or maybe not give you the trust right away or whatever it may be in both of your careers, and and also to tell what you do and how you navigated through that?
Oh, I've had some interesting stories in my career. Working in major fields that probably only 1% of us get through the doors on. Working in
white
fashion.
or black, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter on race at that point. You're already saying it's a tough field.
It's
so
a
fashion,
tough field to even embark into.
Yep.
And then when you get there, instead of being able to focus on your craft and showcase all that you have to offer, you're oftentimes showcasing like those stereotypes that you think of me are not true. Everybody doesn't come from the same background that you think they do. So those are things that you have to break those barriers down. I've had instances where being a buyer and working for prominent companies, I would speak with vendors and they would talk to me all the time on the phone and via email, and we'd have very cordial conversations. And then when it's time to meet them, they'll introduce themselves to my white counterpart versus me.
No way.
Oh yeah, all the time. And I thought it was just so funny.
And they knew clearly that it was you they were corresponding with in the email.
They did not know it was me because the way that I kind of handle myself. And
I see. So based on the way you were speaking and the words you were using, they just assumed that you were white or that you were of a different education or something or upbringing. So they introduced themselves to someone who they thought they were corresponding with.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? I've had
that is interesting.
A story where I've gone in and I've had vendors who wanted to come into our properties and our locations, and they come into our meeting boardroom, and I've had a guy ask me to get him some tea. Some water.
Oh
yeah. he's introduced himself to the whole table and asked me, "Hi, can you get me some water, please?"
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting to me because it's an ignorance. It's
like
a
how embarrassing for him.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is that the worst part that almost just makes me feel so frustrated is that I don't even think they're embarrassed.
I don't even think they
even know
what
Right.
they've just crossed over.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
I mean,
But
that to me is just like, people even still think that behavior is something that can be accepted.
On the fence of that, I've not seen that behavior as much in our generation.
Yeah.
It's the old. Unfortunately, it's the older generation that
Yeah.
I've encountered that with. And it's there in our generation, but it's not as
Right.
it's not going to be as apparent as it is in
Right.
other generations, which is unfortunate. It's still there. It's 100%.
Well,
there.
and I think the thing is that because, just like we always say, racism is taught, discrimination is taught, hate is taught.
Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate because my race is not taught like that.
Interesting.
We're not taught this is a white child, don't play with them.
Right.
We're taught to be mindful, because you don't know what the parents may think.
Right,
so just
right.
be careful in that sense.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh yeah. A great movie to watch is Get Out. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't.
Oh,
But no, I was
please
literally
watch
just
it.
watching that the other day.
Oh,
it creeps me out.
Oh, please watch.
Yeah, I've heard amazing things when it came out. Yeah.
It's amazing. And
Wow.
you'll just see there was a moment where the main character goes upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Black guy married, I don't know if he was married or dating a white woman. But she invites him over to the home.
Yeah.
And, they're having a little get together or whatever, and everybody's in their own little space doing whatever they're doing in that time. And he walks past everybody and he goes upstairs. And then everybody stops and they look up at the stairs. Crazy.
Right.
But that's how it is. Whether it be in that scene or whether you're walking into a restaurant.
I was just gonna say, or in a store. Because I had a friend, same thing. He said, watch how. It was a black friend of mine. Mm-hmm. He said, watch how when you and your brother walk into a store, two white, people versus when I walk into a store, they're gonna have their eyes on me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't even matter how you dress anymore.
It doesn't matter how you dress.
It's an act they're putting on, but it's almost like they can't stop themselves from having that first thought of when I see someone that has a certain skin color, then I automatically think this way.
Right.
And then, of course, we're in a world where we're like, we can't be racist, we can't be this. So they pull it back, but it's like, why did you have that initial thought in the first place?
It's a trigger.
Right.
It's always been a trigger.
It's like subconscious. They can't stop it.
And some people are not automatically drawn to that negative connotation. Some people are just curious about you. They want to know why you're in the store.
Yeah.
Why can you dress like this? Do you have the money to be in the store?
Right.
They
because now all of these stereotypes start to pop up.
They want to evaluate you and they want to come up with a judgment of who you are.
Yeah.
They want to talk to you.
Is the answer to racism just to wait until those generations die off and hopefully they don't keep teaching the next generations that? Is there another thing that can be done? Is there something we can do, whether it be white or black? I don't know if there's an answer for that even.
I think that the answer is to wait for them to die off, because why would you want someone to die off with hate in their heart about someone, or because
we want to fix the problem right now?
We would want to fix that issue.
Yeah.
And then the problem, and it's not even. I don't know if you can fix it, because it's a mental issue.
It's fear.
It's fear. You have fear about anything that you're not sure about.
Right. Fear
when
of
you
the
can
unknown.
just educate yourself, you can come up and talk to me.
Absolutely.
You will never have an issue going up and talking to, as long as you approach them right, as you would with anybody.
Correct.
Yeah. Come up and speak.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a different synopsis than what you believe.
That's interesting that you say that, because I feel like that's what the cops are doing. They're going to approach a car with a white person in it with much more compassion and sympathy an understanding of what the conversation is going to be like than if they stopped a black male. And then all of a sudden, that
they're
person
grabbing at their holster, they're
Right.
grabbing at their gun, not their holster. They're
Their
grabbing
gun.
at their gun.
And now all of a sudden, that person that's in the car, that black man, is feeling that energy.
Right.
So of course now he's going to
They're
react saying,
tense
"You're
and-
already thinking I'm guilty of
Yeah,
something.
they're
You're
tense.
already ready to shoot me."
Mm-hmm.
When that white person is getting a chance to defend themselves. And so yeah, if the cops approached them the same way they approached a white car, then would the response be different?
Yes. The
I mean, I would
response
think the
be-
answer is yes.
It would be completely
Right.
different, but that would be in a greater world because they're coming up
Right.
with so many different things that are already striked against them, and they haven't
Right.
even done anything.
And they haven't even done anything
They
yet.
haven't even done anything.
Yeah,
That's so,
just nuts.
so unfortunate. But I do want to know how you feel because you date a man of color.
Yeah.
And yes, he's not. He's international, but he is a man of color.
Sure. Like you said,
And
when
you're
people
gonna-
look at him,
right?
that they
You're
don't know
gonna see a
that.
black man,
Right.
and you're gonna have children that are black boys and
Mhm.
you know black women. How are you gonna handle the situation?
So, funny enough, my first instinct is I've always wanted to be a lot darker. I've always wanted to have like mixed skin. So to have beautiful babies that are mixed, I think they're the most beautiful children in the whole world. So it excites me to see how beautiful they're going to be. But on the anxiety side of what you're saying, of having them be in this world and maybe having it be more difficult for them because that's not something I grew up
No,
with.
it's not going to be. It maybe it will.
It will be.
It won't be.
Right.
Maybe it will.
See,
be.
and that's a terminology I think even as
Mhm.
white women, white men need to use better
Mhm.
because we minimize the reaction
Because you can't relate.
because we can't relate.
Right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So you're right. It will be more difficult. Obviously, having an incredible partner in that because
Right.
he grew up that way.
Mhm.
He's going to be able to help navigate. I'm actually hoping we have boys over girls.
Oh, really?
I think girls are dramatic.
no.
But he will be able to navigate our sons and through that. But I am probably going to end up doing a lot of research on how to, like, if there are support groups for interracial couples who have kids, how they, how they go about doing that. Because to be honest, I don't have the answer.
Right.
And I'm totally okay saying I don't because how would I have the answer?
You go with experience, and
Right.
And I don't know.
And I don't have experience being a black person.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't know.
So
if
there's
support
no
groups
way.
are gonna work.
Well, so
Because-
I'm saying like, so for example, like when Jada Pinkett did Red Table Talk, she had someone come on. I think Kristen Davis she adopted black children.
Right. Mhm.
So what it's like being a white woman raising black children, right? And she adopted them. They weren't even biologically hers. But for her, she's like, these are my kids. And how she goes about through life saying, these are my children, introducing them. And of course, all the looks she gets, all the this and that.
Right.
She goes, why is it necessary? I don't know. Why I have to explain myself. These are my kids. So I think right now as an interracial couple, I don't feel like we get a lot of looks, or I don't feel that. And I'll tell you why. Because we live in a state that is more open-minded. I do feel there are parts of the country.
Oh, honey, you get
Really?
looks. You just don't see them.
I don't
and
see
You're
them.
not apparent to them. They're not.
I don't
your
want them in
eyes
my
are not
space.
open to them.
Interesting.
You get looks. Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes, you get looks.
I don't want them in my space.
You don't want them in, and I love that about you.
I just
you don't
don't, yeah.
attract that energy.
I'm not
to
even
you.
looking at it.
You're not even looking at it, and that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing because I think with our generation, like if we were in a room with all of our generation, and
Yeah.
we wouldn't look at you
We
twice.
wouldn't think about it.
We wouldn't think about
Totally.
it. We would probably be like, those are two interesting companies, but we're not trying to size you two up. Like, why is she with him? What
Right.
what is she getting out of this? What is he getting out of this? You know?
So I think maybe the answer, well, like I said, no. We won't even say the answer. I would say I think the way we can keep evolving and progressing in this particular topic, since it's something that it's just going to take so much on the part of humanity
Yes.
to really move the needle.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the best part is just to have conversations like this.
Yes.
and just like you said, love. There's a lot of love in your household. So you're going to raise your children with a lot of love, in which case they're going to be aware of certain situations, but they're not going to have hate towards other people. You're not going to raise them that way.
Never.
And so if we continue to raise future generations this way and we educate other people,
we can
the
demolish
idea
it.
is that it gets smaller and smaller,
Right.
because love will overpower the hate.
Right.
It will take time, of course, and like I said, just as generations move and ebb and flow in society, but
It can happen.
I think it can too. I mean, we have to have hope with it.
I would love to get your take on when you first met me. And what you thought of me and who I was and my character.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an interesting question, because I feel like it's not that interesting. And I'll tell you why, because we bonded so quickly.
So quick.
And we were sat next to each other at a party through a mutual friend, because she thought we would have something in common. And immediately, you were dressed a certain way, I was dressed a certain way. Like, we just had a very similar energy about us that, again, there was no "you're black, I'm white."
Right.
That was never crossed my mind.
If I told people who my best friends were, they would never think that you would be the one walking through the
Because wait, what just happened? You're now my maid of honor.
Right.
And so many people are like, my fiance is black, my maid of honor is black. Like, I didn't even think about that, but most people are like, they would see, that just crossed my mind just now in this moment, that is not normal for most people.
And
And I'm like, to me, it wouldn't be any other way.
But law of attraction and energy, we attract one another.
Totally.
Because as your maid of honor is black and your fiance is black, same thing here,
Yeah.
You're gonna see Asian, Mexican,
Right.
African, everything in my wedding party as well.
Yeah.
So that's where
Absolutely.
that law of attraction is very strong.
Right, because we are attracting souls.
Right.
We're attracting energy to us.
Mhm.
And energy doesn't have a color.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, when I met you, I thought to myself, where have you been all my life?
I know.
It wasn't even
It wasn't
how you were brought up, how I was brought up. Like, we didn't even get into all that.
Mm-mm.
We were actually, from the minute we met, we were moving forward. We were saying, these are my goals. How do we help each other move forward in that direction? Like, oh my gosh, let's talk about energy. Let's talk about law of attraction. Let's talk about future. We discussed a couple things in the past, but it was more of just like, oh my God, you do that too, kind of thing. It was similarities. It was never, you invited us to your Christmas party, whole family, everything. Never once for a moment felt like I was probably the only white person in the room. You know what I mean? Never at all felt weird at all about that. Been that way when I went to Noelle's thing as well, like a huge group of Haitians. It was awesome. I loved it. Totally felt like my people. That just goes to show that each culture is teaching their kids different things.
Different things, right.
And teaching them maybe a different religion, teaching them maybe different traditions in their culture, that's one thing. But don't you think as a humanity, we should all be teaching our kids kindness,
respect,
love, just kind of the basics.
Those,
like the basics. And I feel like you're right. Those are not given.
Those are right.
It's not like a duh. And it should be.
It should be.
Like, how is that not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are certain things that you should be teaching your kids no matter what culture you are.
Right.
And I think that would bring about a better humanity as a whole.
Right.
Totally.
This is interesting. This is
Woo!
good. I mean, we can go on and on and on. But I do want to thank you because you open up the dialogue.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's so important.
It is.
You're open to, hearing out a situation and scenarios and things of that nature, and you're educating yourself. Not because my best friend is black and my fiance is black. No, you're doing it and you're seeking out for yourself. So I really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
I really do. You're a unicorn. You really are.
I mean, but I've always been interested in having conversations like this. I think this is the meat of life.
Yes.
It's the soul of where things are. And I don't understand why now, well, I do understand why, because our political climate has changed and so many things has happened that people don't want to have these conversations anymore because they're tired and they're like, well, I'm just going to get yelled at and they're going to try to convince me to switch to their side, whether it be politics, religion, anything.
Yeah.
And people don't want to open up the dialogue. They don't want to start a conversation because they said, we're not starting a conversation, we're starting an argument.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you're going into it already feeling that way,
yeah.
I mean, you've already lost the battle. Like, it's already done.
Right.
So why are we not sitting down having conversations to, if you want to say it, I guess, agree to disagree?
Mm-hmm.
But just know already that the person sitting across from you may be on the complete opposite end of the spectrum in X, Y, and Z. Don't you want to know why?
Yeah.
Like, just out of pure curiosity, you should just be having a conversation, starting a dialogue on how we can get to know each other better, how we can bridge the gap between how you were raised and how I was raised, and why you voted for someone and I voted for someone different, and we can still be friends.
Right.
And we can walk out of this conversation feeling even better about the world because, oh my gosh, you feel that way too, I feel that way too, but you're on this end and I'm on this end, and that's okay.
But
I accept you for who you are, and I respect you for your decision, and I'm not judging you because of this particular thing.
And we also would need to be able to have people be organic with their answers, because
real.
once you start putting on a facade, then we're not going anywhere. We're just running in circles. Because I would love, my journalism background.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to a racist. I want to know what makes you tick. What's that trigger? Why? Where does it come from? Because it resonates from something.
Yeah, because there's something so therapeutic about talking.
Yeah.
And if you're right, everything stems from something, whether it be a childhood experience or something, or something, whatever, something you were taught. And isn't there a way that maybe they can be, not that, again, I'm trying to go into a conversation to change someone's mind, but enlighten them a little bit and maybe allow them to be more open-minded to the next person they come across. Right. Which then again just spreads more of that kindness we were talking about. Okay, so I think a big thing that we talk about often off camera is body image. How, weight works into our life and everything. You and I are two totally different body images, both beautiful in their own right, but also what people think they want to see in us, and what you and I are both working towards, because you and I both have different fitness goals. Right. So talk a little bit about maybe your journey with body image or weight or whatever.
I'm so excited about this topic.
I know, we were just talking about going back, like, this is kind of her wheelhouse when it comes to talking about, a woman of class and that kind of thing. We were just talking about Audrey Hepburn and Marilyn Monroe.
Dorothy Dandridge.
Yes, absolutely.
Body image. I mean, where do I start? I guess I can go when I was younger. It was something that my mother prepared me for. Coming from the South.
Prepared you for what? What does that even mean?
You
already lost me.
Coming from the South,
okay,
our young women are known to have voluptuous hips and small waist and things of that nature, and that's the society, and that's great, and we love it. Yeah. But when you get out of the South, other people are going to look at you and be like, you're fat. Or you're too thick.
Gotcha. Because I was thinking, you're describing Kim Kardashian, Jennifer Lopez, Nicki Minaj, like that's what's in right now. But that wasn't what was always in.
No, that was not what was in. And I can even attest to my own culture that wasn't what was in back before we had what we called the video vixens and things of that nature. You were too thick, especially living here in Las Vegas. I like to bring up this story a lot, that here it's kind of like, you have these assets that
quote unquote
assets,
emphasis on the assets.
That I didn't fit their mold, but when I went to the South, I was golden. I was the queen. I was the Kupachandra of what you were to look like in a human body.
So
first of all, I just want to cut you real quick, because we just had a conversation about racism. Yes. And we were talking about the South and how how difficult it is to have that conversation there versus, more on this side of the country. And now you're saying it's easier. Now we're talking about body image. Yes. And you're saying it's easier to be in the South than it is here. Isn't that nuts?
Isn't it crazy?
How completely opposite that is.
Yeah. it's amazing to me to see the evolution
Right.
of what now is to be considered a perfect image. And we did just
Right.
have this topic about racism, but we're the ones that this is what our ancestors gave us. This is what
Right.
we are made with.
Celebrated.
And we're the
Yeah.
ones, but are we really celebrated in society?
No.
No, we're not celebrated.
Because, well, and what do you call society? Celebrities?
Celebrities,
Right?
and things of that
Instagram,
nature.
Facebook.
And back in
Because that, I don't think that represents, I think we learned that in the election, that was the recent election, that Instagram and social media and the people that are on that, whether it be now up to like 1 billion people on Instagram, that doesn't reflect all of the United States.
Right.
Because 1 billion people, a lot of those are in other countries.
Right.
So if we're talking about the United States alone, the representation of every culture is not represented
No.
on social media.
It's
because
not.
most of those people come from the same background.
Right.
And they think beauty is one thing.
Right. And it's unfortunate because with my culture and with my ancestral back, you're over sexualizing my body with
Right.
the lips and the big bums
The hips,
that
yeah.
are unproportionate. You're not even
Right.
proportionate to what it's supposed to be
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
So that is something that's mind blowing to me.
I
That
agree.
this could be your epitome of what a woman is to look like, and she's not even what we naturally look like, because you can't look like that by paying to have silicone and injections into your body.
Absolutely, but even can you look like that by doing that?
No,
Like,
you can't.
I mean, that's the thing, is that you have magazine covers of these celebrities that look a certain way, that are all photoshopped down, and the
Right.
hips are out, and they don't look like that in real life.
Mm-hmm.
On the cover of the magazine they do, and then they're teaching women to look like that. And like you said, even if we were to get the operations to look like that, can you even physically look like
You will
that?
never.
Like, it's an unattainable image.
Never. It looks very odd and weird, and
Right.
when I see women that have these injections, and if that's what you love to do, whatever floats your boat.
Right, there's no judgment on it. It's just
But when did we start not wanting to look natural?
right, or look like what God gave us.
Right. When did that become an issue?
Yeah,
When did that become something you're so stuck on what society has for you
Yeah.
that
I think that's
if I would have changed my body to be a size 2 when I was younger,
Yeah.
or any time in the past, where would I be now? I'm celebrated now, but back then I wasn't.
right. And I think that's the thing, is that what God gave you, because I go through a very different lifestyle journey with my body. Is I am very slim. I've always been very slim. My mom was slim, and I don't want to be slim.
And why is that?
So, I grew up in the ballroom dance community, and very skinny dancers, of course, but then you have these Latin dancers that have these gorgeous hips and just voluptuous bodies. Still thin. You would call them thin in society, but they have curves.
Right.
I don't feel like I have curves. I always make a joke sometimes that I, look like a 12-year-old boy at times. No, but you know what I mean? Like, and I don't say it in the way that I don't love my body, because I do love my body.
Right.
I have an amazing man that loves my body.
Right.
I'm not even worried about any of that. It's, but there's a balance between loving what God gave you and working to get what you want.
Right.
And I think society always looks at me and says, God, I wish I looked like you. And there's a part of me that just doesn't love when people say that. Even though they think it's a compliment.
Who is your society? That's the thing.
That's true. Well, I mean, just people you come across in life.
People, right.
It could be someone at the grocery store. It could be
Right.
someone at the dance studio I go and a teacher I know, or whatever.
Because we were always taught, like, to be, it's not to be super, you were literally a unicorn in our culture if you're super skinny.
Right.
Like, it's just like,
No,
okay,
but that's what I'm
we're-
saying, is they're saying, I wish I looked like you.
Right.
I have a very balletic body, that kind of thing. And I want more.
So why do you want more?
I want to feel stronger.
Okay.
I mean, I already have an athletic body, but I want to feel stronger. And like I said, I just love that, because beauty in the eye is in the eye of the beholder. And the beauty in my eye is I love that curvy look. My ideal body that I love is Jennifer Lopez. 100%.
Beautiful.
Puerto Rican, she's gorgeous, she's got that tan skin, she has the hips, but it's not to the point of like, I don't like the look of Kim Kardashian. I think it's too overdone. Whether it's natural or not, I don't care, I'm not gonna judge her on it, but I think it's too much.
Right.
Nicki Minaj, same thing. I think it's just too much. I think Jennifer Lopez has a much more natural look, and she just looks like a woman.
Yes.
She looks so beautifully feminine.
Yes.
That that is to me is the ideal body of being celebrated. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's right there in the middle. So I am in the gym, working out, doing what needs to be done to lift weight, have a personal trainer, eating every 2 hours, certain meals a day to get my calories in, because I have a very fast metabolism.
Right.
And of course, having conversations with women like this, they're like, oh my gosh, they played a little violin.
Right.
So sorry for you that you feel that you're too skinny and we all wish we could look like you. Do you want some of my weight? They always say that. Can we share? And it's like, and I get it, and that can be funny a couple times.
Yeah.
But after a certain point, you calling me too skinny or saying that you wish
shaming.
it's body shaming just as much as if I call you too fat.
Right.
It's exactly the same thing. Plus, being a woman is completely different than being a man.
Right.
Gymnasts who are very thin, usually they don't have regular menstrual cycles.
Right.
They have a lot of other issues they have to deal with. They're always trying to keep up with their calories, bone density, lack of iron.
Right.
Luckily, I've always, I've been thin my whole life. My mom's definitely kept me being made aware of those things. So I've never had those issues. I've been very blessed to not have any health issues due to my weight, as well as being athletic. But it's not about what other people want me to look like. Just because everyone else thinks I look great, I want to be better. And I know I can.
Right.
That's the difference, is that I could be in the gym 3-4 times a week, eating correctly and doing what I need to do, and I could have Jennifer Lopez's body. Why not? If I work hard enough, I could.
You could get there.
So why would I not do that if I wanted? Right? When everyone's like, oh, well, why work so hard when you have the perfect body already? But it's not my perfect body. It's your perfect body.
It's what you feel.
It's what you feel is the perfect body. If you want this body, you work hard to get
out
this
and
body.
get it. Right.
I just don't see why that's hard for you. You know what I'm saying? But everyone's in the gym comparing themselves to each other. And like you said, it's mostly on social media.
Yes.
Right? But I think that...
And in real life.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a shame, because it's body shaming on both sides. People don't see it as body shaming when they're calling you too skinny. Right? Oh, you're so thin.
Right.
Yeah. Or they give me a hug. I'm like touching myself, right? It's like I'm hugging air. They think that's a compliment. They think it's funny. I'm like, if I told it, can you believe that? They say that. They go, you're so thin. You know what I mean? It's not, you look good. It's not this, that, and the other. It's like, you should eat a hamburger. And I'm like, that's just as bad as if I said, you should not eat for 3 days.
Right, and do you address that? Do you let them know? Because if you don't, they'll continue.
So recently I have.
Okay, good.
I've been starting to make, because you're right. I'm not doing anyone a service by not saying anything and then being frustrated about it because they don't know, right? It's just ignorance. But there's a time and a place.
Right.
And I'm just like, it's not always grass always greener on the other side, right? It's not always easier to be so thin and want to look a certain way and not be able to get there because my metabolism is so high and I'm trying so hard to keep up with the calories, right? But you first of all, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Right now. I mean, you coming back from what you did. She always tells me, she goes, just wait, just give me this time and I'm gonna be beach ready right over the summer. You went to what? You were in Aruba.
Yes.
You were in, where were you?
I think this year I just went to Aruba, right? Oh man,
You did. I feel like you did Mexico or Cancun or something.
Yes.
You
Went to
did.
Cancun and you just get ready to what you feel comfortable with.
And I was living through her Instagram when she was taking all these videos and pictures with her man. Like, she just looked amazing. But see, that's what I love, is that I love how she celebrates her body.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I love that. I love how you allow yourself to, like, we're in Thanksgiving. We just finished Thanksgiving. We're in the holiday season. Everyone's eating. You know what I mean? So you're allowing yourself to eat what you want, do what you want, and then you get back in the gym, you do your thing, and you have goals.
Yes.
But you're not feeling like the pressure that you have to look a certain way
No.
all year round.
No.
No, not
Like-
at all. As a woman, I'm really empowered to be a woman. You know, my body's gonna fluctuate. My body's gonna go.
I know, 'cause we haven't even had kids yet, so this is just like,
it's gonna do that,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that because
Right.
that's what God created for
Totally.
my body to do. You know, with wider hips. Most men look at women with wider hips and say she has childbearing hips.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
So you know,
They look at me and they're like, how's she going
no,
to
they
baby out of there?
don't. No, they don't.
Yeah.
No, they don't. But yeah, I celebrate my body and I love it, and I love the changes. No, we don't get too crazy.
That's right.
We don't do that. But you know, I make sure I keep everything to what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about society. I enjoy that society embraces my body now, even though it's on a different skin color that they embrace.
That's
But
true.
I do enjoy that society
Yeah.
embraces my body. And that I'm not a unicorn walking into a place. Now you see it everywhere. That's
Right.
pretty good.
That is cool. You're starting to see
Yeah.
examples
Yeah.
of yourself
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
you know, movies and magazines and things like that.
I think the biggest thing with us is that, just as we start to conversate more about this topic, is that you and I were very aware of the body shaming that goes on.
Yes.
Whether it's happened to us or not, like I said, when people talk to me about my weight, about your weight, whatever. But I think now, being in our 30s, we are not letting it affect us. But I don't think that we let it affect us when we were in our 20s either.
No.
And that's something very rare, because most women I talk to, they feel body shamed and they feel like some, I mean, isn't that how like anorexia and bulimia
Right.
and all of
Right.
these things start? Because that's really the extreme of why you don't want to body shame someone.
Right.
Is you don't want them to be anorexic,
Right.
you don't want them to closet eat,
Right.
you know, you don't want them to feel like they're a fat person,
Right.
you know, what, or a skinny person, whatever. But you and I have never had that.
No.
And why do you think that is?
I think it comes from your family background.
Yeah.
I honestly
I know.
do.
I was going to say, I was just curious.
You know,
Am I surprised with the service?
Right. I was celebrated again.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I know that my hips come from my grandmother, and my dad too. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
You know, my breasts come from a part of my family. You know,
You see.
Yeah, so do mine.
You're right. No, this one. So you guys only know. And
She knows who she is.
you see these beautiful examples that have been passed down onto you from generation to generation. So
Right, because your body's a reflection of your ancestors.
yes, and I love that.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
absolutely love that. How dare I try to go be a size 2? That's not what my bones, first of all, are made
right.
are made to look
do,
like.
yeah.
Are made to do. So
Yeah.
I love that. You know, now there's a difference between being obese and overweight, and
Because that's healthy. That's getting into a conversation.
That's
Not what you
getting
look like
into-
anymore.
right.
Is are you healthy?
are you healthy?
Right.
Exactly. And that's one. And there's a ton of people that may look at me and not think that I'm healthy, and
that's
I
not
probably
true.
can outrun
Yeah.
you.
Right.
You know, marathon
Yeah, this girl's
any day.
athletic. Let me tell you.
Any day.
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah, it just goes back to me embracing, who I am and embracing my culture and my ancestors, and I love it.
And I think people need to understand the difference between being healthy and what that looks like.
Right.
And being healthy looks different for every person.
Exactly. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Because
Yeah.
as you're speaking, it's just racing through my mind, my shallow how.
She calls me that all the time because I eat all the time.
All the time.
I know.
You guys
I
would
just
never.
and I don't know where it goes. It just
Right.
disappears.
We will be in the restaurant.
I know.
She's like, I want this and this and
That's
this,
it.
and she'll eat it.
I will.
Do you understand? You
And
eat
2
it
hours
all.
later, I'm
She's so
starving.
And I said, I can't hang with you, sweetheart.
That's it.
I have micronutrients.
We don't have the same food goals, Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna gain like 30 pounds just sitting. So thank you for appreciating. I mean, you and I have always had this. We're just having this conversation on camera now, but we have
We're gonna get
conversations like this all
loose.
the
You're gonna
time.
see.
Yeah, no, because that's the difference too. Is that you and I have conversations like this all the time. We are the kind of people who do that. We appreciate, and this feeds our soul. I don't think enough people understand the effect it has on your mental health to have conversations like this regularly. I just don't think they do.
And with people outside of your circle.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally.
Outside of your circle.
Oh, that's
You
such
need-
a
you need
great
to have
point.
that.
that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you just have a bunch of enablers.
Right.
People are just, oh, we all agree with you. And it's like, okay, but that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to find people that challenge you, that push you to be a better version of yourself. And how are you going to be a better version of yourself if you don't get more information? That's something you didn't grow up with.
True.
I mean, right?
Right. You have to grow.
You're so awesome.